Okay, I'm on my way to my new job, and as luck would have it, it's by a train track. I've been here several times, and now when the train does come by, this thing, I cannot see the end of it. And it's so big that as I'm talking to you, here comes another engine in the middle that keeps pushing everything. And I'm sitting here, I can see probably a mile down the road, still no end in sight. This is a chance to make phone calls. So as a home builder, there's always something you can do. Usually you're talking and driving. It's rare that you get to stop and drive or stop and talk. So I see my subs behind me in the rear view mirror. There they are. That's the Walker Foundation guys who I'm meeting on the site. We're gonna lay out the house because we've staked it once, but the homeowner wants it moved closer to the lake. They plug everything into their computer, GPS, and then they reposition the house. There's always a baseline that we go off of. So they start from there and they put the whole house in, and then we can put it wherever we want, and then they start digging. This is a private 200 some acre site with its own lake, and we're building one house on it. My job is to communicate to all the subs. I'll put a lockbox on this because there's a code, and that way everybody knows my lockbox code for all my jobs. So that way I don't have somebody showing up saying we couldn't work today because we couldn't get a hold of you for the access to the gate. The home is probably a mile down the road from here. I cannot show you the code. What's amazing about this part of Nebraska is that it's all sand, and you dig down 3 or 4 feet. Sorry, it's my seatbelt. And then you get water. So this is a beautiful, I want to say 150 to maybe 200 acre lake. That's big for us here in Nebraska. I'll show it to you. And the job site that we're going to, we're going to position the house so when it'll look to the north, which means they don't have to put any curtains and blinds on the back of the house because the sun never shines on something that faces north. So the bad side is that you get the cold winds, but the good side, you don't have to put window coverings on. Plus, there's no one here to see you. So here it is. We're building right there. They even have a little playground. So things to consider. This power box was located here, and you can see all the newly disturbed soil. Well, we had to run power probably close to a half mile down the road to the building site because there is no power there. Here is, I don't know, one of the open-ended. I have no idea what that's for. I don't want to touch it. When you're building on acreage site or something out, we have no streets here, gravel roads, there's no power, and there's no sewer and water. So we got the power taken care of, and now the next thing is the septic will be the sewer system and water will be a well. Unless we can tap into that neighborhood, that would be awesome. As I'm driving, here's one of the pads, power pads. They put one here. They put pads on the way down the road because just in case somebody wants to build another home over here, they've thought that through. So here is the public area. Actually, it's private, but this was a little campground that they used in the past. Here we are coming to the job site, and their pad is right up there. Sorry for the annoying ding and donging. So I'm gonna spin around and meet with the foundation guys and get things kind of staked out here. Okay, I'm out here on the site and I got the blueprints, but they don't really do me a whole lot of good right now because over here they're setting up their stand to plug everything in that's all been generated kind of through GPS. And the guys that draw up the plans send them to them in a format where they just plug it into their computer, and you'll see some of these stakes. So we've pre-staked the house, had a meeting here probably a good month and a half ago with the homeowners to mark all the corners of the building, because when you have all this land, you really have a hard time trying to figure out where are the best views, how is it going to lay out. So here's one corner of the building to give you how big this thing is. I think the house is like 150 to 160 foot long, so it's real long, not very wide. And as you come up on this hill, you'll see there's piles of sand, And because we're doing what we call a slab on grade, there's no basement, we leave all this sand inside the foundation, because once we start digging the footings out and around everything, see all these little flags over here? This represents where the screened-in porch or the patio and stuff are going to be. And you see it gets real close to some of these little cedar trees, which around here, people think they're kind of trash. So those can easily be knocked down and still have these awesome views. So what we did is we came out, I painted lines in the grass, marking out where everything's at, because when you come out here as a homeowner, you just see sticks in the ground. It's hard to make sense of it. And sometimes for me, it's a little hard in the beginning to make sense of it too. But once you figure out where certain things are, it just falls into place. So in doing so, we stood up here and said, imagine what it's gonna be like when you're in your living room, and that's gonna be your view. Then we said, look how big your backyard is. It's a long ways to the lake. So lake living, a lot of times you want to be a little closer to the lake. When you're in the city, you want to have a big backyard and not so much of a big front yard. But living here, you're going to want a smaller backyard because the lake is your backyard. So get your house closer to the lake, have a nice grand front area where you drive up to, and that way you don't have to walk so far to the boat back and forth. You got privacy over here. You got privacy over here with the trees. I mean, the whole lake is private, but we're trying to build the house where the trees are protected around the home. So in the event somebody else builds, but we don't have to tear out trees. I think we've found the perfect spot. We're gonna start laying things out with the foundation guys. But what Josh has done, he has this site plan, right? Or the floor plan. It's actually the floor plan. There's not even a site plan. And they plug that into his computer, and then you find our baseline, right? The main point where that's at, and then they lay the house with this computer and put it all in here for GPS, and then he'll restake everything because the house has to move 25 feet that way. So all the corners we see here are just temporary corners. It's not right. It's not set up for you to dig.
Correct. Yeah.
It's set up for the homeowner to get a sense of where the house is at, but it's a good baseline, right, to what we're doing. So we plug all that in, and then this thing works its magic. And are you staking it yourself, or do you need a guy to?
Yep. No, we'll get her staked.
You do it, just you by yourself?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I love technology. There it all is. So Josh, what you're doing there, that rebar is what they call it's a benchmark, which is where the floodplain, top of the floodplain.
They have a reference elevation, and we compare that to base flood. And
we got to stay a minimum a foot above it, and you recommend?
They're recommending 1 foot above this pin, which is 4 foot above base flood.
So 4 foot above base flood. So we'll come up here and see where at. I'd rather go higher to be safe, right? Just if you're 4 foot above it, we're more than safe, right? Where sometimes some people just go like a foot or 18 inches above it, and then there's a problem. So we're walking up a hill, as you can see. So we have a lot of fill, which is what we're going to need to backfill. So we're trying to figure out now how high we need to keep the foundation out of the ground to where it doesn't look like it's sticking out of the ground a mile, but also not too low. So right in the middle somewhere, like baby bear's porridge, just right. All right, it's been 2 days since I've been here last, and what's happened, had to bring in a bunch of dirt that we're going to create a path up to the house, because this is all sand, and when you drive some trucks and big, we have to get a big concrete pump truck up here, and we don't want that thing stuck. This is kind of a special dirt. Looks really nice, doesn't it? But we actually have darker dirt than this here. This is not even topsoil, which costs a lot. So we're going to be pushing this up, creating dirt road drive for our pump truck. But in the meantime, what's going on here is we got the big excavator, and that is starting to dig the foundation footings. Since this home is a slab on grade, we came up, and you can see the site now has since been leveled. We took everything out, leveled it all out. This big excavator is now digging the perimeter of the house where the foundation's going to go. So I'm gonna go up here and let him know that I have a change. Matter of fact, I better go back to my truck and grab the plans. And it looks so nice already with this being flattened out. The homeowners were concerned that their house is gonna stick too far out of the ground. Even though we have to be above what we call a floodplain, that's what we have out here. We've had a major flood come through here in 2019. This town that we're in was an island. People couldn't get in or out of it. You had to fly in or fly out, or airboat. I was instrumental in that, helping another part of town rescuing people for 7 days. I think I rescued well over 200 people, dogs, birds, all kinds of crazy pets.
Thank you. Thanks for stepping up for your community and what's going on here. That's impressive. So, yeah, it helps a lot. Well, we're inspired. All right. Thank you, guys.
But that was a lot of fun. So back to where we're at here. If we dig the house too low, we're in the floodplain, then you have to have insurance. It's expensive and you have problems down the road. So we're going to be well above that by several feet. I need to visit with this guy as he's starting to dig, because we made changes to the plans. Keep in mind, we're a custom builder. Even though the plans are done, we seem to continue to make changes to the plans, which a lot of builders don't like to do. They want to get the plans done and they make it so painful for you to make a change that you never do it. So guess what? You're getting their house, not your house. I'm a huge advocate. That's what I like to do. I'm a custom home builder. I just sold a house to my niece with another semi-custom builder. She couldn't even change the cabinet drawers. There's doors on the cabinets, and I just said, can't you make the line go from vertical to horizontal, then their drawers? They said, no, it's too late. And they haven't even started digging the foundation. I find that annoying. Back here, I gotta find the plans. I have plans, but I gotta find the ones that I redlined. You'll be amazed how many changes I've already done to this house in the last 30 days, which is good because we haven't started. They're a little roughed up, but that means we're working these things. So let me go meet this guy. Okay guys, my job's done here for the day until something else pops up, but I'm gonna take you along for the ride, show you everything that's gonna be taking place from start to finish on this job. It's gonna be a big one. The house, I believe, the main floor is like 3,700 square feet with the second floor of another 2,000, I don't know, it's close to 6,000 finished square feet with the big garage. But eventually we'll start getting some drone shots to show you the lake and the layout. It's just a beautiful setting, and I really hope you guys like watching this. Hope you'll continue along on this journey. I'll take you from start to finish, show the changes, everything that's involved. And so with that, this is why I got my new winter hat on. It's starting to get cold here in Nebraska. So thanks for watching. I'm Brad the Builder, and I'll see you guys on the next job site.